Okay, so I'm going to make this one brief. Just want to talk about the subject of antisocial behaviour, which is something I have very strong views on. It's something that I've personally experienced more than I would have cared for, but that experience has definitely shaped my views on the subject. Video has emerged on the Tyne and Wear Metro of an incident at one of the stations. I forget which station it was, I believe on the Tyneside side of things. And basically, the train had come to a halt over delays. This occasionally happens on the Tyne and Wear Metro. But basically, there's a young guy outside rapping at the window, yelling obscenities, and threatening those inside. Now, this is pure thuggish behaviour. And I'll try and put a link to the video if I can, although I can't find a YouTube video of the link, so I'll try to put a link if I can to give you some idea of what I'm talking about. A few things to bear in mind. The guy doing the threatening doesn't look particularly, he's not like a big 6 foot muscle bound hooligan, but he looks quite scrawny. But that really isn't the point. The thing about antisocial behaviour is it is a quality of life infraction. That's what it is. There are a few people speculating or saying how they know, I don't know, but I'm guessing it's speculation that this guy's on drugs. And to me, that is a reminder of why, when it comes to the drug debate, i.e., legalization, not legalization, the drugs debate in general, it should never, ever be overlooked that that sort of effect of hallucinogenic drugs in particular can impact people's behavior. You could say whatever you want about the war on drugs failing, but I think it's utterly reckless for anyone to claim that drugs are harmless. Um, I mean, of course, it's true that alcohol causes enormous damage, and a drunk person could be dangerous as well. But I just think it's reckless when certain people give the impression that because the war on drugs has failed, then somehow legalizing all drugs is completely a good idea. I don't think it is. I think we really need to think carefully about that because, if that is the case in this particular incident, it's just a reminder that it really does impact people's behavior. When you have chemicals put into your body like that, of course it's going to have an impact. Not that it's an excuse. If you knowingly break the law by taking an illegal drug, then as far as I'm concerned, you should take the consequences. But I do think this is the sort of case where there should be zero tolerance. And this kid was hammering at the window. He was, I say kid, he's probably about 15, hammering at the window, yelling obscenities through the window, etc. I'm not sure what it was all about, but clearly it's unacceptable behaviour. Um, and the people in the footage were laughing. Now, I don't know if that was nervous laughter or they genuinely found his antics amusing. I certainly didn't find it amusing. Um, and it is absolutely the case that there are many passengers who find it intimidating. The Tyne Metro, I've read it many times. I've never personally experienced anything bad. Have seen some antisocial behaviour on it. Um, but the point I'd like to make is anyone who trivializes this needs to get a grip because it really does have an impact on quality of life. It causes anxiety, it causes stress, it causes all sorts of problems that people should not have to go through simply for traveling to work or traveling, to visit friends or to visit an attraction or as I often do to just go to the neighboring city. That's unacceptable because no one should be allowed to get away with disturbing someone else's peace in that way. So I hope these guys are caught and I hope they're punished. I believe that a custodial sentence would be appropriate in this case, of a few months. And it doesn't matter that there was no actual assault taking place, because had it not been for that window, which was luckily very resilient, then someone would definitely have been assaulted by this little thug. And the fact that he looks scrawny is beside the point. It really is, because even a scrawny kid can be very intimidating in those circumstances to, for example, a pensioner or a vulnerable person. So I say, I hope he's arrested and I hope he's punished. And no, it is not about vengeance, it's about justice. That's something that really irritates me about neoliberal thinkers on this issue regarding crime. They just don't get it. They simply do not get it. That the public has a right to feel safe. Public has a right to travel without being harassed. And those who do it have to face consequences. It's not rocket science. It's not about being, flog him and hang him. It's a simple question of fairness, that people have to face consequences for their actions. And whatever excuses people will say, some people will say about this guy, oh, he's on drugs, it's the drugs impacting his behavior. Well, he chose to take the legal drugs in the first place, if it is indeed drugs. He might be drunk for all we know. The point is, his behavior is inexcusable. People might say he comes from a broken home. And again, yeah, sure, let's deal with the root causes. But in the end of the day, people have to face consequences for their actions. And this guy isn't like a 9-year old. He's old enough to know the difference between right and wrong. So there's no excuses. It's just yet another wannabe little gangster who basically needs to know how it feels from the other side. If he's harassing innocent members of the public, he needs to face the consequences for that. He needs to understand that with that behavior comes a price. And there's nothing big and manly about that sort of approach to life. So, yeah, I hope he's caught. I should say there's more than one, although he's the one doing most of the mouthing off. But I hope he's caught and I hope he's punished. And as a general thought, that sort of antisocial behaviour, it does impact people's lives. Now, that happened to be on the metro, so no one who is there is ever going to see him again. But you do get that sort of behaviour in inner city areas, in housing estates, where people have to put up with it all the time. So when really, really liberal minded people kind of get judgmental and say, oh, you just want vengeance, or you're being too hard, or we need to understand them. What they don't understand is that those who basically terrorize their fellow citizens, and I do think that word is appropriate, the impact that they're having on others' peace of mind is absolutely profound. Look at the case of Fiona Pilkington, the woman in Leicestershire a few years back who sadly took her own life because she simply found it too overwhelming, and to her young disabled daughter as well, because she had gone to the police time and time and time again to report the thuggish behaviour of local youths. The police shamefully done next to nothing. This to me is one of the most detrimental crimes, and I think as a collective society we still trivialise it, we still underestimate it. So I will support any politician that gets tough on this, not just talks tough, but gets tough, because it is not simply about rhetoric, it's about fairness. And I have very little patience with those who make excuses for these sort of people and who basically don't think there should be any significant justice. There should. It's as simple as that. They're bullies. I mean, would you say that bullies should be treated with understanding? I don't think so. That's what criminals basically are. They're bullies. And just as a disclaimer, when I say, I want people like this to face a custodial sentence, that doesn't mean I want them to go and face hellhole conditions or to be brutalized inside. So, yes, I do believe in penal reform, but penal reform does not mean penal abolition. And people who terrorize the public should face custodial sentences. Simple as that.